Matt, for the great introduction. So my name is Catherine. I graduated from Christendom in 2016. Basically, what Matt just said, I did go to George Mason University. It's out in Northern Virginia. They do have one of the best, highly ranked programs in the state. And a lot of the way nursing schools are ranked is on your, there's an exam you have to take to get your RN license. It's a boards exam. So schools are ranked on their pass rate. So how well do your students pass on the first time? They have like a 99% pass rate. So that's mainly the reason I chose to go there, as well as it's the fastest one in the state. It's like 12 months long. So I know most people talk at Life on Tap about their careers. I haven't really had a career yet, so I'm just going to talk about it's not really grad school, but essentially my further education after Christendom. So I guess junior year at Christendom, I was kind of like, what am I going to do with my life? That whole thing, midlife crisis, and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I didn't really like grad school, but I had talked to some nurses that I love what they did, and going on some mission trips and stuff really inspired me. And I did talk to Tess Skinsky, who's an alumna, and she talked at one of these Life on Taps, and I just drilled her for an hour, asked her every question I had, and then I kind of just went and did what she did. So I guess what I did specifically was I was trying to get it done as fast as possible. So like I said, the George Mason program it's a second degree program, so you can have a bachelor's in anything. It could be in computer science, it could be in English, it doesn't matter. But they kind of take that as your gen eds, and then you take prerequisite courses. Each school varies on what they require, and then you just jump in and do the kind of detailed classes, and you get a second bachelor's. There's programs that are 12 months, 16 months, 2 years, depends where you go. I think there's 5 in the state of Virginia, and they are growing in other states. Because people, they go and get their degree in whatever, basket weaving or something. You get a really specific degree, people don't know what they're going to do with it, and then later on they can't find a job, they decide to go back to school, so that's what these second degree programs are for. So I guess my first step was looking around at schools, weighing options. There were 5 different options in Virginia. So I kind of just looked at what their prerequisites were. Everybody kind of requires the same classes. There's anatomy and physiology, microbiology, statistics, a bunch of classes. So I went to some community colleges in the area and took those while being at Christendom. So I know I've talked to some people that are interested in doing nursing, and they're like, well, how can I take classes over the summer? I need to work over the summer. I can't do that. So what I did was took prerequisites while being at Christendom, because I figured I'm already in school, I'm already studying, might as well just do it all at the same time. So I would take 4 classes at Christendom and 2 at the community college. So it all worked out. It's like I'm still taking 6 classes. So over the course of Christendom, I took 32 credits at a community college that were all prerequisites. And they ended up transferring into Christendom as electives, so I was able to graduate on time. And I know that was something that I didn't know at first, but I talked to Dr. One, and she's like, okay, this is great. So it didn't set me back at all. And then also I was still able to work in the summer because I didn't have to take classes all summer. And I would say Christendom does help you to get into these schools. Like I said, the most highest ranked one, not most highest, the one I got into, they pretty much tell you when you visit that you're not going to get in. They have hundreds of applicants and only 50 spots. And they're like, just have 10 backup plans. Don't rely on this. We only take the best of the best. But I don't know, I think it just coming from Christendom, you look pretty good. You're able to write, and they're looking at critical thinking and all the analyzing and problem solving, all that stuff just looks really good on a resume and transcripts and everything. And I know another recent grad just got into the same program I got into. A couple Christendom grads were in it the year before. So I just think Christendom grads have no problem getting into these second degree programs. And I did hear that Christendom is now offering nursing type classes, which would help people out immensely. So you don't have to take them all at community college. I think that's great, like anatomy, physiology, microbiology, that stuff. There was a thing of taking classes at a community college. They are a little bit, the healthcare field, it's not exactly pro-life or anything. There's a lot of difficult issues. So it was interesting taking them from a secular point of view, which is where, it was good to have Christendom kind of back you up. I did take bioethics here with Professor Arias, I don't know if he's still teaching here, but that was an amazing class because we talked about all the difficult life issues, and he provided us just with so many resources and like stacks of authors that I could go to if I ever had a question. So that just really helped me out going into this because I was like, I don't know much about, you know, stem cell research and you know, physician-assisted suicide and all this stuff. Like, do you have to quit your job, or do you like work around it, or what do you do in these situations? So that class here really helped with that. And it was encouraging at nursing school. I just know my teachers would approach me and they'd say, whether it was from writing a paper or whether it was you know, performance and clinicals and stuff, they kept saying like, okay, you have what we're looking for, this critical thinking, this analyzing and stuff. I was like, wow, liberal arts actually works, you know, like when they were telling me what I'd heard reinforced about Christendom, I can guarantee you it works and people notice it, and you guys have what they're looking for. Comparatively, I guess Christendom is an academically rigorous school. The nursing school I went to was probably 4 times as hard. I mean, I cried every night the first semester. It's very difficult, but you guys can do it, like if that's what you want to do. Christendom does give you a good work ethic, and you guys can write papers overnight and all that stuff. It is a completely different ball game, but if you can graduate here, you can graduate there. Yeah, so I guess there's different ways to get a degree in nursing. You can get an associate's. You can do a 4-year nursing school. There are some Catholic 4-year nursing schools, and people go to those if they want to do the Catholic thing as well as the get the degree. But I just think it's really neat that there are these second degree programs. You can get a bachelor's in nursing as well as have a really strong Catholic background, which absolutely helped me just because I think the healthcare field needs strong Catholics. It's kind of a messy world out there, and I'm just excited to like go out there. And working in. So yeah, I'll be here to answer questions later, but that's basically all I have to say. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Catherine. A lot of good information there too. So our second speaker is Margaret Luckey. She earned her master's in counseling in 2007 and currently works as an individual and family therapist in Alexandria, Virginia. She's also a school counselor at Renaissance Montessori and at St. Rita's Catholic School as well, and is the executive director of Siena Adoption Services. She also has experience as working in a crisis stabilization unit in a children's hospital, children's psychiatric hospital as well, which is really interesting. Thanks so much for coming, and look forward to hearing everything.
So it's super exciting for me to be here. It's always fun. It's always fun to come back. Not only I graduated here, but I also kind of grew up here. So it's sort of like home. Although it looks much nicer now than it did back then. So anyway, sometimes I struggle with how to present mental health. Like I don't want to say it's horrible, don't do it, it's a terrible decision. I don't want to say that, but at the same time I want to be really honest. It's a really difficult profession. You hear really, really sad stories. You see terrible things. The pay is not great. I'm not starving, but like you're not going to get rich doing this. So those, and the licensing process is terrible. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, it's fantastic. Mental health is like a perfect profession for Catholics to go into. So first of all, it's incredibly fulfilling. I mean, you change people's lives. Sometimes you save lives. Sometimes, I mean, if you really wanted to talk, when you really talk to somebody who comes to you in crisis, and you're the one that they come to, it's actually amazing. Like people will come and they'll tell you their deepest, darkest struggles, and they don't even know who you are. Like they don't. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You help save marriages. You save lives. When people come to you and they are thinking about killing themselves, and no one knows what to tell them. Well, you know what to do because you're trained to do it. So, but it's hard work. It's great. I mean, it really is perfect. In addition to that, there's also this other aspect that this is it's a field that's in the left. It's infiltrated by Marxists, but they don't even know that they're Marxists. And it's nice to be sitting in you'll be sitting in a meeting, and there'll be all these professionals from the county, and there'll be a family that's got a lot of things going on. So everyone will sit in this room, and the CPS worker will be like, well, I'm sorry, if she doesn't send her children back to public school, I'm going to take them away. And you're like, well, actually, they have a right to homeschool their children. If you look at how they're doing, so you're that person who can do that. And that too has been very satisfying for me. And that's kind of where a lot of my Christendom background has really helped me. I see really good-hearted, well-intentioned therapists, who really want to help people, and they fall into these Marxist leftist traps all of the time. And I can smell a fallacy a mile away because of my times at Christendom. So it's been really good for me. Also for me right now, it's really enabled me, at this point in my career, it's enabled me to be my own boss and stay in my profession. I'm not like an optometrist. I don't have to buy thousands and millions of dollars of equipment. Like, I just need an office and a couch, a file cabinet. So it's really, and that's been huge, because I kind of got to the point in my life where I was kind of tired of working for people, and there are a couple people, and things just always work out, and they just things seem to be easy for them. Like, for me, it was always just kind of a struggle. Like, I wasn't ever really gonna enjoy working for people. I was never gonna work my way up the ladder. And then one day I kind of woke up and was like, I don't want to be the one working up the ladder. I want to be the one creating the ladder. So that was really, it was incredibly easy to do. So that's also been helpful. It's been great, because although it's proven to be a little bit more versatile than I first anticipated. So as you could hear before, like, I've been able to do a really wide variety of things with it. So I was able to, I'm able to work in a school. I'm able to work in a private practice. I was able to work in a hospital. I'm able to, there are all these things that you can do with it. So it's not as narrow a field as I initially anticipated, and that has come as a really pleasant surprise. So what happened with me is, after I graduated from Christendom, I kind of had this, well, first and foremost, I had a terrible GPA from Christendom. It was terrible. I was awfully defiant. No one was going to tell me how to study. And so I had this really bad GPA, and I kind of, I like talking to people, kind of extroverted. I like kids, education. So I tried education, and that just wasn't quite right. There was just something missing. So I kind of hopped around trying this and that and the other. And then I had a friend who was also from Christendom, who was, she had moved up to Steubenville, and she was about to start their counseling program. And I was unbelievably jealous. I was like, oh man, I wish I could be Kathleen. I wish I had thought of that. And so I went up to visit her. It wasn't funny. I was babysitting Cecilia Garvey at the time. So I left, and I went up and I visited her, and she kind of showed me what she was doing, and I was like, I'm just going to swing by the admissions office. I'll just swing by. And so what he told me was that I needed 3 courses to get into the counseling program there, and they were, I don't know if I can remember them, but they offered them in the summer, so it was great. Like, I went home, packed everything up, and then I drove back, and I started immediately. And because I had come to Christendom, I think they overlooked my lousy GPA. It had also been a number of years, and I had on occasion taken a couple classes here and there for this, that, and the other, for whatever reasons I thought might be fun. So I had since kind of proved myself. So I did really well over in the prerequisites, and then I just walked right into the program, and it was great. I mean, it was nice. I had never been to Steubenville before. It's no Front Royal, but if Christendom is like theory, Steubenville is practice is practical, and it was great. You know, it was a really smooth transition. So so that was how I did it. The licensure process has been dreadful. If you're thinking about it, you kind of have to have a plan. You have to know where you're going to end up. You have to look it up. You have to make sure every state's got their own requirements, their own course requirements. You have to make sure you're going somewhere accredited, or they might not license you. So there's, you know, there are like a million little technical things like that that are important to know if you're thinking about going into mental health. For instance, there's you can get a master's in counseling. There's no PhD in counseling though. There's a PhD in counseling education. There's, psychology. So a lot of kids I know went and they got masters in psychology and then left. Well, you can't really practice with a master's in psychology. So then they tried to switch over to counseling, and the board of counseling was like, they took it for a little bit and then they decided they didn't like that anymore. Now they give those kids a hard time. So if you're going to do psychology, you should probably go all the way to get the doctorate. So there's things like that. There's a degree, there's a separate degree for school counseling that I've kind of been able to get around because I work in private schools. So and then there's all these different, there's a degree in marriage and counseling. So, but anyway, it's super fascinating. The material is great, and I mean, you really. I remember one of my professors, kind of at the last day of school, she said, to me, "Go ahead, go out, change lives, and make money." And I remind myself of that pretty regularly. I'm changing lives and occasionally making money. So it's been pretty good.